Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa wala wa ba'd. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Quran in Surah Al-Imran, this verse which talks about what would happen if the Prophet ﷺ dies. We said what would happen because this verse actually was revealed when the Prophet ﷺ was alive, of course, right? But a rumor spread at that time that the Prophet ﷺ passed away, he got killed. So some of the Sahaba, they actually said, what should we do now? And that happened in the Battle of Uhud. And Allah revealed this verse for all of the followers of the Prophet Muhammad. He said to them, وَمَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ. Muhammad is no less than a messenger. He's a messenger. قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ. Many messengers were sent before him. He wasn't the first messenger. أَفَإِنْ مَاتَ أَوْ قُتِلَ انْقَلَبْتُمْ عَلَىٰ أَعْقَابِكُمْ. Allah says, and Allah speaks, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks this question, which is a rhetorical question. Let's assume that if he dies, what would you do? Would you return on your heels? Would you actually abandon this deen? Right? انقلبتم على أعقابكم. What should you do, guys? You should actually be steadfast, regardless he's alive or not. Allah says, وَمَنْ يَنْقَلِبْ عَلَىٰ عَقِبَيْهِ فَلَنْ يَضُرَّ اللَّهَ شَيْئًا. And whoever returns on his heels and abandons this religion, right, he will never harm Allah anything. وَسَيَجِزِ اللَّهُ الشَّاكِرِينَ. And Allah will reward those who are thankful. This verse actually has been recited after, has been revealed when that happened, right? And the Prophet ﷺ, he recited this verse to the Sahaba. But when he died, ﷺ, some of the Sahaba forgot this verse. Like Umar ibn Khattab, anhu, right? And when Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said to Muslims after he went to the room of the Prophet ﷺ and he saw him, and he realized he died. So he went out and he said what? He said what I'm going to say now. Umar ibn Khattab, he couldn't understand, he couldn't actually believe that the Prophet ﷺ died. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he said to the Sahaba, he said to them, whoever used to worship Muhammad ﷺ, he should know that Muhammad ﷺ died. And whoever used to worship Allah, he has to know that Allah is ever living and he never dies. And then he recited this verse. And Umar ibn Khattab, when he heard the verse, he stopped, because he was saying, no, he didn't die. He stopped. And he said, as if it is the first time for me to hear this verse. SubhanAllah. Right? So this verse actually speaks about what? The everlasting of this deen. This deen is everlasting. This deen is not gonna actually stop. It's not gonna end by the death even of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Right? So we have to be steadfast and to live our life as if he's alive, as if the Prophet is alive. Right? Somebody might say, but now we have many problems in our life. How can we solve these problems? The Prophet, he taught us how to solve problems. You know how? He said, if you don't have the ability to achieve 100% of the solution, you can achieve anything of it. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't say either to achieve the highest of the results or nothing. No, this is not the way of Muhammad ﷺ. Right? And he told the Sahaba that when he was making a treaty with the non-Muslims, ﷺ, he accepted some of the items of this treaty were against Muslims. But he accepted these items, right, and these articles. Why? Because he was caring about something else greater than that. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So sometimes we have to accept something which is not right, which is not good, to avoid something which is worse. I'm going to only mention one thing of these items, and just you can imagine that. In this treaty that he taught us how to handle situations, this treaty that happened between Muslims led by the Prophet and the Mushrikeen led by Suhail ibn Amr. In this treaty, it had this item: whoever believes from the Mushrikeen and goes to Muslims city, Muslims have to return him to Mushrikeen. To return home. To return this Muslim who was a Mushrik before, but he embraced Islam now. Umar bin Khattab, said, Ya Rasulullah, how can we accept that? He accepted that. Not only he accepted that theoretically, but that happened practically. While they were making this treaty, one of Mushrikeen accepted Islam, became a Muslim, and he came to the Prophet and the Muslims now while he was still in his chain, in his iron, right? And he actually said to the Muslims, would you return me to the Mushrikeen again? And what happened? Did they return him? Is it okay to give a Muslim to a Mushrik? Not any Muslim. A Muslim who is under torture. He did, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is it right in the first place? No. But why did he do that, Rasulullah? He had another goal. He wanted to teach us. Not everything you will be able to gain everything. Not every time you will be able to gain all the benefits. Sometimes you have to sacrifice something. So he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, now I have two things. Either to abolish and cancel this treaty and this contract between me and the Mushrikeen, and I would lose what? I would lose security, safety, right? I would lose this kind of environment between Muslims and non-Muslims, or to save one Muslim. What did he do, Islam? He has chosen to do it. He has chosen, Sallallahu, to return this Muslim to the Mushrikeen. Imagine that. Why? Because he cared about the whole entire society, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This actually teaches us that we have to look. If you have any problem, look to the worst case scenario, and look to what you can actually avoid. And if you have something good and something bad, of course it's easy for everybody to choose. You choose the good, right? But you have something bad and something worse, right? So now, in this case, you will choose the bad to avoid the worse. To avoid the worst in anything in your life. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said, it's easy to choose between the good and bad, but it's so difficult, so subtle to choose between the bad and worse. Right? So we need to understand this point and think about it thoroughly, right? And to ask Allah to guide us.